What's happening, everybody? Today we have a very special guest. Now, if you have been following me for some time now, or if you just follow me for the first time, there's no doubt in my mind that you want to have this business, a lifestyle that allows you to have freedom to do what you want. You want to travel the world. You want to be able to live life on your own terms. You want to be able to do as you please and not be chained to a desk, and not be chained or having to report to maybe a boss or something like that. And that's what freedom, what entrepreneurship guarantees you is freedom. So one thing that's really great here is I brought in my good friend Andrew. I met Andrew about a year ago on a hike with some other really awesome young entrepreneurs. And before I knew, we were talking about how he was doing his thing as far as entrepreneurship. And next thing I know, several months later, he's traveling around the world and living the kind of lifestyle that we are striving to live. So he can talk a little bit about his travels and what he's been up to. And I'm excited to dive in deep into this. And by the end of this interview, you're gonna feel like you can actually do this yourself. You're gonna get maybe some step by step in terms of how to do that. And I'm just thrilled to have this amazing guy here with us today. So Andrew, man, I really do appreciate you taking the time to come here and give some value to my audience.
Hey man, well, thanks for the great introduction, and I value what you do because I think what you do is like tough. You're out there every single day on this, so like let's get this going.
Thank you, man. So tell us a little bit about like your entrepreneurial journey. When did you get started?
That's a really good question. So, whew, damn, let's go back. Huh? So when I first graduated college, I pretty much got into my full-time job as an aerospace software engineer, and then at that point, everyone would think like, oh, you made it, like that's it, you got like a nice job and it's good to go. And like 2 months in, I bought the Xbox, I bought the Netflix, and then I was like, is this it? I was like, am I just gonna do this for the next 40, 50 years? And so I started building apps, like because that's what I did. I was a software engineer, so I was like, okay, let's build some apps. And then while I was doing that, I pretty much like listened to YouTube every single day for an hour on my commute to work and back, like every single day. And then it was like advice on like financial stuff or investing or like meditation or like men's lifestyle. And then like it all like I noticed every single YouTube author was like doing their own thing. They're all just like not at a full-time job, and I was just like going to my full-time job every
Hey
day. And I
Andrew,
was like, yeah,
your mic keeps hitting against your shirt.
oh, it's right here.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
Perfect.
so I was going to my full-time job, listening to YouTube every day. I noticed everyone was doing their own thing on YouTube, and I was like, that looks pretty cool. I want to get into that. After like 5 like failed businesses and on apps, which was like totally awesome like learning experiences. Um, I finally got into digital marketing, and at the time I didn't know like I like was like, hey, wait a minute, I think business owners need help with like online stuff. And then I did my research. Oh, it's called digital marketing. And then I was like, I think I can get a client. I have a business friend. And then from there, we started working together. I got him results, and that's where pretty much started. And then I hired a business coach, Jim, and then he pretty much this was like a magical moment. Is like, and this is what I love that you vouch for and recommend mentors, because he basically said, well, what are your goals, man? And I was like, well, in 6 months, I want to basically, this was 2019, January. He said, I said, in 6 months, I want to be leaving my full-time job, have enough saved, and be making enough in my business so I can, successfully leave. And he's like, well, we can do that in 3 months. I was like, oh, shit, well, then let's go.
Yo,
And
that's such a Jim thing to say too. for sure.
Yeah. And then I was like, all right, then let's sign me up. Sure enough, 3 months later, I was putting in my 2 week notice at my full-time aerospace software engineer job. And then, so like, I want to like see it as like, I lift it off like a rocket or something, I just lift it off. But then that's when like business hit. And then it was like, whoa, there's like a lot more to business. And so 2019, March through October, I pretty much had a side business for videography. And what I did was basically I only worked for entrepreneurs. And so I went to my first event, and Jim actually recommended me to the dude too. His name's Greg, and he wanted me to be like the guy who's like shooting him behind like entrepreneur event. And then I was like, yeah. Time it was cool. The main speaker on stage said at the end of the entire event, and it was amazing speakers. I could talk all about that too. But at the end of the event, he said, "All right, guys. So I'm having a mansion castle event. We're gonna basically scale everyone's businesses in one weekend. Only 15 spots available, $10,000 each. And if you want to go, let me know. And by the way, there's a ton of successful people here at this event. So if you want something, don't just go and try to provide value." And so I took it and I was like, this is a really cool event. That event to be there was like $500 or $1,000 to be there, and I was there for free. I was like, what can I do? How can I give value? And I just got it. So basically, I went straight to the host. His name is Mark Leck. And then I went straight to him. I said, "Hey, Mark Leck, my name is Andrew Nava." Shook his hand. And I said, I'm a professional drone videographer. I'd like to film your entire castle event for free. And then he was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "All right, go talk to my assistant." Talked to him 3 months later. I'm at this freaking mansion at a $10,000 seat, learning, and not only learning, but networking with other people who paid 10 grand to be there too.
Wow.
And everything I learned in those 2 days, it's just like, and then so I did that like 4 or 5 more times with like other entrepreneurs and other mastermind events. And I just did it the entire year until October. I went to NetCon, and that just like blew my mind again. And then,
Yo, Andrew, I don't know where you're at. You've cut out completely. And in the meantime, while his internet is connecting again, I want to point out something that's very powerful. There you go. Welcome back, my man. So as I was just commenting on the fact that you leveraged your skills, you were resourceful in figuring out a way to make it happen. So keep going. You said you went to NetCon, and then your mind was blown again. And then what happened after that?
so basically, I sat the fuck down and I worked because I was like, all right, I know what to execute on. And I literally like just like at that point I was saying like no to all types of invitations. I had my schedule. I was like, all right, morning time this, I meditate in the morning, work till this time, eat, and then have another thing here. And then I went to the gym like every day at like 11 p.m. And like my roommates thought I was like crazy. And I was just like on my grind, like just nonstop. And I was like, all right, March of 2020, I'm going to my first country. I don't know what it's going to be. All I know is that January 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, I'm going to buy my ticket, one-way ticket. And that was it. I just set the goal. I was like, that's the goal. I'm going to leave in March. I'm going to buy my ticket to the first country in January. And then I worked my ass off. And then I realized that in business, there comes a point where like, you know your numbers. And I think that's large. And I hear that a lot from mentors as well. It's like, you got to know your numbers. And then like in the beginning, it was like, how am I going to know my numbers? But like, and then I started to realize like what effort went into what tasks and what that ended up with. And, where's the marketing going? Where's the sales going? The fulfillment, and how can I systematize everything? And basically like, because of everything I learned in the year, and because I was executing on it, I was kind of like learning, or I was like applying it, but then I was also like, going back to it. It's kind of like notes, I don't know. And I was just like putting it all together. And then by the end of 2019, I pretty much knew my numbers, and I was even coming out with new products and services. And then I would say I was like I felt very comfortable going to 2020 and like traveling, and I was like, all right. And then January, I figured it out. It was actually supposed to be Mexico for 3 months, Europe for 3 months, and then Asia for 3 months. And so I was like about to like, it was literally the week of that like COVID like started. It was the last week. So basically, I left on March 15 from United States, and I lived at my mom's place for 2 weeks in March. So at the end of February is when I let my apartment go, and then I was like, all right, peace apartment, and I sold like 80% of everything I owned.
Damn.
I literally only kept my clothes and my instruments and maybe a couple other like stuff. Sold everything, and then I was like, all right, live at my mom's place for 2 weeks, and then my flight is ready to go. And it was like 1 week, and it was like COVID, 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 and it was hard. It was like, yo, do I keep going with this? Like, yo, am I gonna be okay? And it was hard because I sacrificed literally like an entire year for this, and at that point, it was like, you gotta stick to what you're fighting for. So I did it, and overall, like, I've had a blast. Yeah, that's what I
Man, that's really incredible, man. Yeah, because I remember I first saw you like because you we were exchanging DMs and you were saying that, yeah, I got some stuff that's gonna be coming up. And then next thing I know, I see that like you're like, I'm going to the city, but you didn't really disclose what it was. And the next thing I know, I see you're in Mexico City, right? I think we just talked about it. Mexico City. All right. And I'm like, dang, that's awesome. I was like, I wonder how long he's gonna stay out there for. But you were out there for a while. I'm like, dang, that's really cool. And then it clicked in my brain as far as what you were doing when you went to Brazil. And then it's like you've been in Brazil for I'm not even sure at this point, but it's been a prolonged stay. What's your experience been like so far while you've been traveling and also working on your business? What's that like?
It's a really good question. Let's see. So the first part, traveling, I have like a totally different travel experience because of COVID. So like everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be so packed over there, it's gonna be so packed over there, and you get there, and it's super badass because like what would be super packed with people and like cool looking buildings or like cool looking artifacts, all you get is like the cool looking artifacts and buildings. And so like, it's like an experience that like I'll never be able to get. I even like, I don't know what it is. I'm just really good at meeting locals. And so like I went with some locals to like these like ruins that like you can't even go to because of COVID. And like it was completely empty. And so the traveling part is totally different. I mean, like I might be able to say like some stuff that I saw, like you won't see with no people. So that was just epic. And in the business side, it's the same thing. Like I pretty much always like just like work my ass off, and I still do, but now I just like trade that. So like I don't watch like Netflix or play video games or like none of that. It just doesn't interest me. But so instead, I just work hard and then I just explore hard, and I just kind of that's the balance. So like I trade it off. Like, dude, like you're working hard, but like these next 3 days you're gonna go like here, and it's gonna be like awesome. So it's gonna be worth it. So definitely business goals and like planning for business is like always like on my mind. Like, okay, so what's coming up next month? So what's coming up with Q4? And it's like I'm just always thinking ahead, and that way I'm able to and plan my numbers and plan my time. It's
How,
basically it.
how do you set your goals? Do you set them out 3 months at a time? Do you set them out a year at a time? And do you still have mentors?
Oh, I like all those questions. So I set out yearly goals, but also monthly goals. So like the yearly goals are more general though. They're more like, okay, like at the end of this year, I'm going to create like some products here so they could run this way. But then this month, in order to like to hit those next ones, I have to hit this month. So like, and the month goals are more like, smart goals, like quantified, and so you can hit them. Do I still have mentors? Yes. So I am in two masterminds. I would say they're like group masterminds. So one of them I pay like $7 a month. The other one I pay like $30 a month. And one of them meets weekly and talks about stuff. The other one does like monthly master classes. and they both have groups, so I can ask questions. And they're pretty much, like people who I look up to. Like I want to be like them, doing what they do. So uh, definitely, like I feel like if you're not looking up to something or someone,
Mhm.
then it's like you got to have some kind of compass.
Yeah. So what exactly is your business? So you're supposed to do the digital marketing? I remember last time we spoke, you were doing
Mhm.
digital marketing for lawyers. Are you
Yeah.
still on that path?
Yeah, it's a good question. So now, it was interesting because before COVID, I only had digital marketing, done for you services for lawyers, where about 80% of my clients are lawyers. And then, COVID was coming. And so I pivoted and I added consulting and digital products. And I really like the digital product side. So I'm doing all three. Those are the three like kind of like main services in there. But the digital products, I'm basically doubling down on that because that one gives me the most freedom. I'm able to systematize more, and the memberships that I'm in, they revolve around digital products. So, but it's definitely those 3. Mhm.
Man, that's incredible. Like, what's in store for you? Like, are you planning on traveling for the next year, 5 years, 10 years? Do you just leave it up for this grand adventure? What does that look like for you?
Love that question. Because like it changes. Like being out here, like it is solo, so like you do have to like make new friends and like do stuff. But like being out here, like that changes. When I started, I was like, okay, I'm gonna travel this year, and then next year, chill for 6 months and go back in the summer. But now I'm like, no, why don't I just go in February? Like hang out with the family for January, and then just go back in February. Like, why not? And the reason why is because like it's just so everything is new, and I think that's the deal that I get is like everything is like you have to figure stuff out like on your toes
Hmm.
because it's all you and it's every day. And then it's like all right, and then like 2 3 months later, in this case like 2 months later, you go to a new location, and then again it's like everything is brand new. So like every single day I don't see like the same buildings or yeah, because I'm always exploring. So that's the side I'm just like love it. As far as how long I'll be doing this, like I said, like it changes. My decision changes every like couple months. So for now, maybe 2 more years, maybe.
Damn, man, that's really incredible. And in Tim Ferriss's book 4 Hour Work Week, people tend to think that it requires you to make so much money in order to do that. What's your living look like? Are you staying in hostels? Are you always looking to save some money so you can afford to be out there but at a lower price? Like, what does that look? What does your process look like when it comes to
Mhm.
where you're going to be staying?
That's a good question. So the first location I stayed at, the first 2 locations I stayed, first 2 Airbnbs. So I only do Airbnbs because like they have reviews. Um, it was shared, as in like I had my own room, but the house was shared. And I realized like here's where we come down to like that like energy side of stuff is that like that took away from my energy. Like
Mhm.
having to like um, you know I don't know what it was, but it was like, hey, let's go for a beer on Friday night. I'm like kind of don't want to, but all right. And then but it was more of like I knew I had deadlines and I knew I had to like get shit done. So like, but that peer pressure or like that pressure of like being there and like it like fucked with me. When I got to a location where I was on my own, dude, I was like the most productive because I was just on my own schedule, like nothing budged me, and I was just like, so basically, ever since like a couple months ago, for that reason, it's just preference. I'd rather much just my own apartment. I don't think I'll go back to like sharing just because like I'm just able to be on my routine. So, and then to answer the question about like budget and stuff. So when I was living in Los Angeles, I was paying $950 per month for an apartment. And then I was like, wait a minute. So Airbnbs cost like $500. A flight costs like $500. So my rule is like, if I can go to a new place and spend less than about $1,000 for flight and place, then it's in my budget. Yeah. And then so it's better when I stay in places longer because it's cheaper and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so like that when you book out an Airbnb, is it for 1 month or do you do like you book the full 3 months like right then and there, or do you switch it up? Do you go from Airbnb to Airbnb in different parts of that specific area that you're traveling to?
That's really good questions because like these are all things I like figured out while I was doing it, and so I always do 1 month minimum. Um, two reasons. One, so I can really explore the place. Another one because Airbnb will give you like a 25% discount for a month. So
Wow.
bonus. And then from there, I scope it out. But I've realized that I have to ask them through message like, hey, what's the speed of your Wi-Fi? Obviously, like we're disconnecting.
Yeah.
So I always ask that because, it needs to be like really good. So, and then I basically scope it out. If I really like it, then the cool thing is that you can negotiate with them and be like, hey, I'm going to stay another month. How about I do it through you instead of the app? And then you get another discount. And then,
Wow.
so if I really like it, I'll stay there for another month or whatever it is, however long I need. And if I don't like it, then I'll just go somewhere else.
That's really cool, man. To comment on something that you said earlier in terms of the people that you stay with, like, yeah, it all boils down to, again, like you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So it doesn't matter if you go to another place, if the people you're hanging out with are still not on the similar path as you are. So there's that friction there, and that you really feel like you can't share certain things with those people because it's like, we just don't have similar goals. So that's really incredible that you're like, all right, that's one lesson that I needed to learn. It's learned, and now you adjust. And is Asia on your list next? So how long are you going to be in Brazil for?
Yeah, so I'm actually leaving this Thursday evening.
Man, I hear the women in Brazil are beautiful.
It's they are. It's kind of it's like wait, like it's like the majority of them are. It's kind of it's different.
Yeah, I remember I went to a Tony Robbins event, and this guy's like, because he was from Brazil, and he's like, if you go to Brazil, make sure you go while you're single. I'm like, all right, awesome. So with the way you're running your business, what do you do for marketing? Are you sending cold DMs to lawyers? Are you running ads? What does it look like in terms of your way of bringing in more clients?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it's really basic lead generation through Facebook groups, nurturing them, and then following up with them. And that's like where the real money comes from. It's crazy. Just Facebook groups. But the cool thing is that like it's like on a machine. So like I've paused that because I can't take on more clients doing that if I want to build the systems for my digital products. So it's cool. It's like, and then I have like my virtual assistants. I have 2 virtual assistants. So like, it's kind of, I just like press buttons and it's just like shit just happens. So like, that's the cool thing about like creating systems. And so like, whenever it's like, okay, like next month, it looks like I'm going to have this much time for this and that. Okay, I can take on another client. So push the systems to start following up, get on calls, close a client or two, and then like stop that system now. And let's focus. Like we're good. So it's really cool once you see those numbers. Like you can see the effort that you put in or the system that you create. You can just like push buttons and like it goes, and then like you can project. So yeah.
Dang, that's dope, man. And again, careful with the shirt because the microphone hits. So sometimes I can hear like little bumping noises. So when it comes to, I know there's like groups with like digital nomad groups that you can find and you can meet up with people. Are you doing anything like that? Like meeting up with other people who also have businesses and you share stories about what you're doing, or what does that look like?
Before I was leaving, I added like a bunch of them and I was so excited to meet all of them. COVID came and a lot of them were like, nope, we're not meeting up. Like we're not meeting up. And so I only met up with one person though. one, like, and it was crazy. So basically, I was in a group foreigners in Oaxaca, Mexico, and this basically like brought me back to like what I learned from like the rest of the successful entrepreneurs that I did videography for. It was like he basically messaged, "Hey, does anyone know something about like where can I get a COVID test? I don't have the symptoms, but I need to fly to Dubai." And I was like, "Oh, this guy is high level." So I was like, check him out. He had a website. Okay, this guy's a digital nomad. Cool. And then, but his website looked really polished, like really good. So then I messaged him like, "Hey, how's it going? See, you're a digital nomad. We should drink coffee sometime." And then he was like, "Oh, cool, man. Yeah, that sounds good." He's like, "What's your business?" And I was like, "I like that because we go straight into business. You know, there's no fluff here." So I was like, "All
Yeah.
right, cool." And I was like, "So I do digital marketing. I have a couple of products that are more passive than others, and I have two virtual assistants." You know, I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." And then he was like, "Oh, that's nice." He was like, "We did 140 million last year." I was like, "Oh, nice." And we have 40 plus employees. And I was like, "Nice." And I was like, "Okay, so value first, right? Like, how can I put myself in a position where I can give value?" I was like, "That's awesome." So I've been able to go on private tours and basically find anything that I need because I know the language really well. So if you need anything, I got you. And he was like, "Oh, it's really nice of you." He was like, "We're having dinner tonight. You want to come with?" And I was like, "Let's go."
Dang, that's
So
awesome.
we got there, and it was like the fanciest restaurant I've ever been to in Mexico. Okay, and it was him and his girlfriend, and basically it was like 2 hours of like a podcast session where we were talking about business, about like meditation, about like she journals, and about like the coolest thing. Like there was so many golden nuggets, but one of the biggest or largest golden nuggets that I got from that was she said, um, you would think that like once you make millions, like all your problems get solved, but in actuality, you just have other problems to solve. So it's really is about like asking yourself what problems do you want to solve. And I was like, yeah.
Hmm.
So that was really cool, and I got to hang out with them. But other than that, no other ones. But um, I mean, I wish I could be more. Yeah.
Man, that's really cool, man. And in terms of like I know you invest quite a bit into yourself, and like when you hear something from someone who's made it that far, like I've had that myself with a mentor of mine. He hopped on a podcast, and we've been able to develop a relationship. And this guy's amazing. It's just a really strong person, and he really boiled it down to when he made X amount of money, where he was able to retire. He felt like he felt empty afterwards. Like, well, what the hell? I did everything I wanted to do. I live on the beach, and I'm able to play my video games, but I feel like there's something missing. And what he boiled it down to is we feel the most fulfilled when we are on our purpose, when we have a specific purpose that we're working towards. Have you found that yourself? Like, what brings you happiness and fulfillment may not be the external results that you're getting, but like the
Mhm.
actions that you're taking and living through specific values. Like, what kind of, I know you're into meditation as well, which gives you that inner peace. Like, talk a
Mhm.
little bit about the process you feel that brings you in the most happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like once people get to that, that solves larger problems. I would say definitely, um, the legacy side of things, which is like there's one thing that I heard, which is like there's three times when you die. The first time is when you're a child and you find out death is possible. The second time is when you physically die, and the third time is when the last person on this earth says your name. And so having a legacy where I can, pass down values and knowledge for a long time is kind of the long-term goal. And how I plan to do that first is by educating my family, such as like my cousins and my brothers, so that they can be on a successful route and like we're good. So like as a family, we're like, financially knowledgeable because I think that's like the largest things, financially knowledgeable is like you just gotta know like the system. So that's like step one is like, all right, guys, like don't get into debt, or like get into good debt at least. Credit is this, boom, boom, boom. And then from there, like really, shine some light on. I want to start with my culture as a Latino. I feel like obviously I want to like share knowledge with the world, but start in one place. And because I feel like Latinos have like a bad name, in some areas, like
Mhm.
in schools and stuff, Latinos this. And so I want to be able to share knowledge so that way, like there's more wisdom, and we grow as as that culture. Yeah, so that's where it really stems from. Is like wanting to basically pass down what I've learned, uh, not just like practicality, but like even through like life experiences, just living, and so that we can grow, knowledge.
Yeah, and that's actually a really common thing that I see with successful people is like it's not the fact that they want to accumulate so many dollars. What it comes down to is like how can I contribute? How can I help out those around me? Like that is what really brings in so much more fulfillment when you can grow yourself and you've got yourself into a certain position, and that can be like something externally like for like finances, or it can be something internally where you feel more self-confident, you have higher self-esteem, you feel better about yourself, you can walk, you can stand tall, and passing that on as like to somebody, that people that you love and your community. I feel the same way with even Black people. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see us succeed, and it can be very frustrating when you can't when there's certain people within the our own culture that reject those things, that like that even look down upon. They call it like you're like, I'm sure like Hispanics call this as well, like what being whitewashed, like as
Right.
if like yeah, all the all that kind of stuff, but 100% relate with
Yeah.
that.
How about can I ask you that same question? Like what's kind of like the driving force for Greg?
Yeah, man, with me, the biggest thing is I'm not sure how much you know about my background, but I came from a household that had domestic violence. Dad went to prison 4 times. Mom didn't graduate from high school. Favorite uncle used to literally, do cocaine in our living room. And the kind of stuff that I would see growing up wasn't something that was of hope, that was of prosperity. It wasn't like I had this really crazy bright future ahead of me. What I saw were people who were miserable. What I saw were people that settled, but not, and I'm not processing this consciously. It's just subconsciously. I believe that the way of life is you have a job that you tolerate, you feel okay about it. Like relationships aren't the most loving. I'm interpreting that relationships are tough. I'm interpreting that relationships are pain. And I was so fortunate enough to have my brother-in-law introduce me into personal development, which completely transformed my mind as far as thinking, wait a second, life doesn't have to be this way. Life doesn't have to suck. Life doesn't have to be miserable. You don't have to settle. As a matter of fact, you can really have whatever it is that you want, as long as you have mentors, as long as you put the work in, as long as you can make the sacrifices for it. And the reality is a lot of people aren't willing to make those sacrifices, and but at the same time, like there's a lack of knowledge. Like this
Mm-hmm.
information isn't something that's taught in school, as far as go find mentors or invest in yourself or learn how to communicate, and or like you have like unlimited potential and you can really do some amazing things, and that you like this barrier as far as maybe $120,000 a year is like, oh, that's like you're doing really well. Like there's levels above that, and you as a person, it's possible for you to achieve that. So a big thing that I feel very fortunate. I feel like I've already won in life. Like the fact that I've overcome that mindset in terms of that small thinking, and I can really do whatever as I want. And I want to help other people have these breakthroughs as well, where someone can go from someone who's lazy and maybe is on a path towards settling and like maybe far below their potential, and showing them the way and showing them, hey, you can really live a much better life than like you think is even possible right now. But number one, understanding that's going to take some time. Number two, understanding what are the skills you need to build that are going to help you out long term. And I feel that my purpose really is overcoming and teaching. So I overcome a specific problem. Let me teach it to somebody who's
Mhm.
going through that same thing that I've gone through. And I feel the most fulfillment when because I personally have 7 mentors myself. I recently just, locked down another mentor, really, really awesome relationships going to the next
Nice.
level. And I feel so fulfilled when someone says, "Hey, I just reached out to this person," and it's crazy because they're trying things out that I have never done, which is literally asking someone to be your mentor. Like usually, like the relationships were mostly organic, and we didn't have to really say like, "Hey, can you mentor me?" But when someone says like, "Hey, I asked like if they can be my mentor," and they say yes, and then now they're having conversations. God, man,
Nice.
is that so fulfilling?
Right.
Because like I teach you how to help yourself the way that I have learned to help myself, which is being around those
Mm,
successful people.
nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
like fulfilling as fuck.
dude, 100%. And big thing that like I don't know if you've experienced this. Have you ever experienced this where like you've learned something from personal development and at the time you don't really fully grasp it?
Mm,
You kind of understand the concept. You're like, I don't really know. But then as you have more experiences and references,
mhm.
like that specific thing makes more sense emotionally. Like you've experienced that.
Yes, and also what I love doing is like going back to that and like listening to that again or watching it again,
Yeah.
and it just like doubles up, and it's just like whoa, yeah.
Yeah. Because I felt that way with Tony Robbins, when Tony Robbins at his at his Unleash Power Within event, he talks about the 6 human needs, right?
Mm,
Certainty, uncertainty, significance, love and connection, growth and contribution. And he was saying that like you can achieve a lot, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be fulfilled. And we can see so many countless examples. He brings up Robin
mhm,
Williams, who accomplished everything he wanted to accomplish and killed himself. Anthony Bourdain, same thing, had to can do whatever he wanted, killed himself. Kate Spade, and there's people that also are very successful and names that we don't hear about. And
mhm,
when I first went to Tony's event and he was talking about what brings in fulfillment is growth and contribution. When I first heard that, I'm like, okay, I don't understand how helping and maybe volunteering
mm,
and all that stuff, like how that's
mm,
going to make me feel great because I'm so focused on
mm,
myself.
mhm,
And it is when I start coaching people and now I have my own business, it's like, oh, when I grow for myself and I'm helping myself out and I'm getting better as a person, that feels fantastic. But when I can take what I've learned and contribute that to somebody else and make an impact, there's really, honestly, I've to my experience have not experienced anything that's more fulfilling than that.
that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I honestly like I'm telling you, I see you day and day and day and day and day, and just like that's really it, dude. Like that's really like it. And I honestly see you like like Joe Rogan status or something, man. Like I see you like somewhere up there. And I'm just like that's just it. That's all it takes. Like every day, and then like boom, and then like boom. Yeah, I don't know. That's awesome.
Most deaf, man. And I appreciate that. What did your schedule look like as you're building your business leading to the point you got up? Where is it now? Were you working those 10-hour, 12-hour days, or was it more systemized and you were doing more deep work? What did your work schedule look like as you were building up to where you got today?
Definitely the 10 to 12 hours. Um, but I guess it was kind of like learn faster. It was like because I look back now, and obviously like I'm just like I look at it, and I was kind of just like cranking a wheel that was like old industrial or something. I look back now like yo, I could have just done this, done that, but I needed that to learn it. Because I needed to be like in the trenches. I just feel like if not, it would have took me longer. And I had my goal set. I was like, dude, March 2020, you're leaving. January 1st, second, or third, you're buying your ticket, one way ticket. So like I was like, shit, November's coming up. Or I was like,
Mm,
I gotta get faster. So For me, it was like a combination. Maybe I just needed more guidance, but whatever it was, I was like, this deadline's coming, so I have to meet that. So, but how was the schedule like? Woke up and you know, it was like a lot of testing at first. It was like, so do I do better when I
Careful, what's your
meditate?
mic?
Oh my bad. I was like, do I do better when I meditate first and then coffee, or coffee then meditate? you know,
Mhm.
and then like I tried both, and I was like, okay, meditate then coffee, and so like it was that, and then it was like, okay, work for like 2 hours and then get a breakfast, because it was like, just hearing different things from different podcasts. I was like, okay, so like you might work better on like, hungers, because so that way you're like pushing and then you can go like, eat, stuff like that. And then there's also like, the fasting, the fast one, what is it?
Mhm.
Intermediate fast one. Yeah. So different things that because I feel like everyone's different. So like you can't just take everybody's advice. You got to like find what works for you. And so all the time I was like testing. And then, yeah, sure enough, I like working first, getting the important shit done. Okay. And then little breakfast and a podcast or something. So like now, like it takes no work for me to like eat and like listen to a YouTube video or a podcast. Dude, I'm all in. I'm like, I love this shit. you know?
Yeah.
So is that, and then again, I was testing, I better for the gym in the daytime or the nighttime. But then it's like, oh, okay, so here's where now it fluctuates. It's like, well, I have sales calls in this afternoon, so I'll do the sales calls, do some more work. The gym, and then obviously the gym gets packed, around what, like 5 to 9 or
Yeah.
10.
Hmm.
So then you got to account for that. Okay, well, so then I can't go to gym there. So, okay, I'm going to go to gym at 11 p.m. I'm just going to work this. And then, but there's always definitely some kind of breaks. Like I can't do just like straight on, because then like my work is just like fuzzy. So, and then if it was like no gym in the evening, so I was like, okay, so 7 to 8 or something, go take a nice walk and like this like nice trail that I know of, and just listen to like podcasts or something. Yeah.
So you made sure you had something to decompress and
Mm-hmm.
to take your mind off of the task at hand. And I think you have to do those things because that's what gives you more fuel to your work. Like I
Mm-hmm.
like the saying, I don't know who said this, and if someone can let me know, like you work hard and you also chill hard
Mm-hmm.
as well, because
Yeah.
that refuels you. What time do you usually wake
Yeah.
up?
So like at 8, I don't have like a strict like. I actually except when I have shit to do, but I actually don't put an alarm like ever. I just, all right, body, you tell me when you want to wake up. Not too late though.
Dude, that's really cool, man. I forgot who mentioned that. Was it Tim Ferriss that said he doesn't have an alarm, or Chet Holmes? Somebody said that, but I think that's really cool, man. And that's part of the experience. Like you want to be able to build your life in the way that you want to run it. Like you're
Yeah.
like, you know what? I think that's one thing that I want to have. I want to be able
Hmm.
to wake up when like that's such a that's such a great feeling when you wake
Yeah.
up and you're not interrupted.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yes.
damn, I gotta
Exactly.
get
I think
up.
it's the
It's like,
interruption part. Yeah. But when I was at my 9 to 5, I would work during my lunch hour. The 1 hour I had for like months, for like 3 months. I was like, this is my grind. Because remember I told you, Jen told me 3 months. I was like, all right, let's do it. I would work during the lunch hour, and then after work, I would, for those 3 months, I didn't go to the gym. I was like, sacrifice one. And
mhm.
I just worked after work until like midnight, and then did that like every single day. It's crazy.
So would you say that it took you about those 3 months to like you made enough to get you off your feet to be able to support like to substitute that money you're making at your job?
So my job, I was making like 6K per month. And that's before taxes. And then on the business at that time, I was making like four. And then I was
Mhm.
like, all right, this is kind of cool now. If I get off the 9 to 5, then I have more time to get more clients and make more.
So you're selling more like because that makes sense, like the digital marketing for lawyers. I'm sure that was like high ticket. Like how much were you
Mm-hmm.
charging for per client? Did you have different tiers?
Yeah, so I have different like services. The one that I like to work with the best, because I feel like I can provide the most results in, is Facebook advertising.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so for that one, I charge 1,200 per month. Just, to them, it's not that bad.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
most definitely.
yeah. Yeah.
And did you go by like strategically, meaning like did you look for lawyers who were already advertising and then you're like, oh, these people will buy already, or like I'm assuming you, because you say you do a lot of stuff in the Facebook groups, right? Did you start off with the
Hmm.
Facebook groups?
Yeah. Hmm. So I think it's mostly, whether they started, whether they're doing it, or whether they never done it. It's more of I vibe really well with the solo practitioners or the solo attorneys who don't have a large firm. Um, we just vibe really well. Like our calls are like, hey, what's up? All right, so here's the status. Our texts are like emojis and stuff, but it's like still like really, it's super ideal clients. And like I found out that I work best with them, and it's really cool. Like having like that client relationship that's like comfortable, it just makes everything better. So whether they done it or not, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful, man. Like when you have your clients that you really get along with, and like you guys are like almost like homies, right? Like
Yeah,
um it's really cool because you're like, man, like this is this is fun work.
yeah, exactly. And then like
And
even if like something like goes wrong a little bit, it's like, oh, like obviously like, we know we're human. Like something went wrong, that's all right, cool, all good.
yeah, so did you have a, because I'm sure it gets to the point where you have like you can't take on any more business because it'll be too much of your time. Did you set like a certain limit? Like I can only work with like 10 lawyers at a time, or 12 or something like that. What did that look like for you?
It's actually more of like five.
Mm,
Five, because I have my other consulting and digital products. Um, the digital products, it's definitely a lot of building. It's a lot of like building out systems, and that's what I like about it though, is because like I get to like just try out. That's like my creativity. I get to just be super creative with that, and then obviously provide value, and then refine the process. Okay, like this month we made this much, so like what was the funnel like? How did it look? Okay, let's try this. And like for the digital product side, my goal by the end of this year is to be making 1K per day with digital products only. And once I hit that goal, which is like with when it comes to my goals, I'm just like, all right, let's fucking go, dude. Like this is
mhm.
it. And so once I do that, like I don't know what I'm gonna do with my like on like my other clients, because that's awesome. I love that. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I haven't thought about that, but yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to like your numbers, you talked about your numbers. When let's say you post on the Facebook group, let's go like into the different categories, right? Like
Mhm.
when you post, or like what exactly are you tracking with like the actual coaching? What exactly are you tracking when it comes to the digital products?
Tracking in terms of, oh, okay, I get what you're saying now. So it's cool because it comes down to that saying that like don't focus on the process and the results take care of themselves.
Mhm.
And so like instead of thinking like, oh, like I want to make 1K with digital products this month, it's like, okay, well, what needs to happen in these 4 weeks or these 30 days for that to happen? Okay, so there needs to be some email broadcast in the first week, and then the second week needs to be a hype to the event that leads on the last day of the month or something. um, and then you have like on this day you're gonna have the pre-sale, and then on this day you're gonna have like the last day of the sale. And then, okay, so like, but is that gonna hit my numbers? Well, like my conversion rate is usually this, so I need to have this many people on my email list or such and forth. So therefore, how about I have two different events in the month, and that might make the numbers better. Okay, that looks all good. It's all on paper. All right, let's execute. And then it's sending out those emails, those reminders, setting events, post on social media for those platforms, um, and then sticking to the process. I think in the beginning it was like super discouraging, like when I didn't get sales and I made my plans. I was like, damn, what happened? And I was like, okay, well, keep going. Like,
Mhm.
refine, try to see what happened. Okay. And then, it just gets better and better. So right now I'm building out a system which runs off of an evergreen webinar. That's all just like set up on the web. And that's how I plan to hit the 1K a day. But it is a large system. Like I estimated it's going to take me like 20 hours to build out. Looks like it's going to take me 40 hours. So I'm just like, okay, well, keep going. Yeah.
Dang, that's really cool, man. What would you say was like the biggest failure that had taken place for you that was actually served to be one of your biggest lessons that helped you out tremendously?
That's that's like the best question in the world. Oh my god, because I have a story. So basically, long story short though. I had this client and he was well, it's just a client. Back when I was starting, like 4 or 5 months in, and basically his website, I worked on his website, and actually didn't work on his website. I worked as marketing, but I needed his website to set up some stuff. And then his website crashed, or like someone hacked it, or it basically died. Like all the information was like literally like a hurricane went in there and just like messed everything up. And all the images, it was weird. And he said, "You have to fix this because you have the access to it, and no one else has access to it." And then I was like, at that point, I was like literally like young in business, and I was like, shit, like I have to say yes for some reason.
Hmm.
But then I was like, wait a minute, like this wasn't my fault. Like I didn't do anything. Like I literally didn't do anything. And this guy like is going all over me saying he's gonna sue me if I don't do it. And I was like, but I didn't do anything. I was like, he can sue me, and I'll win because I didn't do anything wrong. I literally didn't do anything. And so I took that, and then on the phone I told him, no, I'm not going to fix it. I didn't do anything. I can help you find out what happened. I can find a solution, but I'm not going to do this free work for you. It's like probably like 20, 30 hours of work.
Damn.
And then he was like, okay, watch out. Like literally business to business. And then I was like, literally like, this is crazy because like that was the first time I've ever had like an anxiety attack in like my entire life. Like I literally like I thought like anxiety attacks were like not a thing just because like I've never had one. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, you can overcome it with your mind. And I was like, and then I literally like it hit so hard that I literally fell asleep. It was so weird. It was so odd. And then I was like, oh shit. But because of that, like I was able to stand up for myself a lot more when it came to everything. Saying no to that one thing because I knew that it was a true thing to do. It helped me basically in business and in life, like really put my foot down, or position myself so that I can basically help more people. Because if I'm able to stand my ground for people that are like trying to mess with me, fuck with me, then I can help other people because not everyone can do that. So I can help other people basically like let them know what's right and wrong. So yeah, that was that experience.
Dang, that's really crazy, man. So did he end up suing you and did you win? Like
Nah,
what?
nothing. Nothing ever happened. He was just bluffing. I think he knew he
Dang.
was wrong because yeah, he did something, and he was like, "I'm gonna blame it on him."
Mm, dang, and he tried to like
Yeah,
bully you into doing all this free
yeah,
work.
and he did it before, like past weeks, and I would say yes because I don't know about say yes. I was just like, yeah, and then so he's like, oh, okay, this guy's a, you know, yeah, so
Like a pushover, huh? And then
exactly, yeah,
that
yeah.
was when you were like,
And I was
no,
like,
this is
oh,
it.
boom, flip, and then everything from there flipped, and I was like, all right,
Dang. So from then on, like you've been able to
yeah.
really be firm with what you're willing to
Yeah,
do and what
and
make.
and especially in business though, like business is business. Like if we're gonna work together, awesome, we're gonna do great. And if not, then well, that's fine. You have other vendors that have other clients.
That's
You
a
know,
that's a powerful thing, man. Not only in business and in life, like being
hmm
able to say no, put your foot down for certain things, invitations to things that you don't want to go to, and you feel a little bit guilty, you feel a little bit bad for it. But for you to really stand your ground and say like, no, I feel like this is what's right for me, and this makes the most sense, and
yeah,
for your life, and like not
right,
compromising your values and what you feel is
exactly,
right to be liked or to avoid
exactly,
conflict from another person.
exactly. And that's a large one. I think a lot of people try to avoid conflict, but it's actually a good thing, to be able to stand up to that. So
100%, man. So what would be what would be something that you would pass on to young entrepreneurs who have the same aspiration as you did and you've accomplished? They want to be able to travel the world, have the business and have the freedom that comes with that. What would be your advice to them who have yet to achieve that?
I would say don't want it today and not even, tomorrow. Like delayed gratification is true. It's like people give up because they don't get it today or tomorrow. And it's like, well, what did you expect? Like if you want to, like they say, if you want to live doing 1% of that people live, then you got to do the 90%, 99% of things that people don't want to do. And that's so true. It's like you got to put in the work. You got to, be able to wait, but strategically, and that's what it comes to you, which is, get mentors because they're going to help you get up there like faster.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And continuously putting in that work day in and day out. I'm currently like finding this, like owning this where wherever I'm at, I'm okay with wherever I'm at. I'm gonna do the best with whatever situation is thrown at me. I'm gonna make decisions that are gonna benefit me, not necessarily today, but can possibly benefit me in a year and a half, 3 years, five
Mm-hmm.
years from now, and being patient. And even though I may not be where I want to be, just accepting where I am and figuring out how can I squeeze as much lessons from this as possible because I'm supposed to be here because there's lessons while I'm here that I'm supposed to learn that's going to help me out when I get to that next level in a year and a half, 3 years, and 5 years. Right? Some powerful stuff there.
100%, 100%. Love
So
that.
where can people find you, Andrew? Where do you want people to reach out to you at?
I would say for now, Instagram, Andrew's World, Andrews with two S's, World. I post some pretty cool pictures and videos there.
Yeah, dude, you've been posting this crazy ass globe. Like, is that a drone shot? Like, what is?
Yeah, it's a drone. It's a feature within DJI's drones. It's really cool. I recommend it.
Yo, you guys got to follow him on Instagram and look at that because he's been posting these like crazy ass pictures. And I'm like, I'm trying to wrap my head around like this looks crazy.
Yeah,
But Andrew, hey man, I really appreciate you taking your time to come here and give some value with my audience, my brother. I can't wait to link up with you again. I know you're on your world tour. Maybe we can link up sometime in Asia
yeah. Hey,
together.
down. Cool. And thanks so much for having me on here, man. Like, super appreciate it.
Of course, brother. All right, y'all. Take care.